Houston had built up as much as a 23-point lead towards the second portion of the second half, towards the latter portions of the second half, and give SMU credit after the Marcus Sasser, who had a phenomenal game, his homecoming game against the Mustangs in Dallas, after he hit the crossover step-back jumper over SMU, which got Houston's bench excited. Marcus Sasser was up, and you could tell that he was really thrilled after that play. He was letting SMU know how good of a play it had been. I thought it looked like that could have been a demoralizer play from a standpoint of the Mustangs' perspective, but give them credit. They made a rally. They cut it to within 12. A few times they got as close as 11, could never get within 10, but they didn't just go away. They made it a game, and it forced Houston to have their starting five to the end of the game, which from a Kelvin Sampson perspective, he's not going to be happy with how they closed out that game.
Yeah, SMU went on an 11-1 run. The Cougs were loose defensively. They missed free throws. That was an issue. That helped. I mean, they started missing shots on the floor as well as missing free throws. The Mustangs didn't quit. They kept fighting. The Cougs, at the end, the final minute or so, Marcus made 4 free throws before a while. Marcus was just 4 for 7 from the line. We don't expect Brady Chain to make free throws. He was 0 for 2. But Jarris Walker bricked his free throws. I mean, he wasn't close on his. So it was just one of those nights again where the team just struggled at the line for much of the game until the end. But hey, 15-point win, we'll take it and move on to Sunday against Memphis.
Yeah, I think you got to give credit to Zurich Phelps. I think he's a good program builder player. He played hard, got downhill, and really just played relentless. And I think Houston just kind of left their foot off the gas and wasn't a few defensive laps. But I mean, to me, it was hard to watch that game, honestly, man. SMU is just a program rebuilding. You got to put all things in perspective. First-year head coach, so all the things that he's battling, but it's hard to watch that game. They're not a good team right now.
They're struggling, clearly. I mean, they're struggling, and I agree. It was hard.
The biggest thing with SMU was they took really contested shots, especially early on. They allowed Houston to build that 23-point. I think that's what stood out to me. Sorry, Chris, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. One of the things that really surprised me was a sold out. I expected number 2 team coming to visit your house, and the first 2 minutes I was like, did 6 o'clock start? Is it too early for students to get there? I mean, what? Because I was like expecting an amped up crowd, hyped up. Hey, we got a chance to knock off a potential number 1 ranked team, and the crowd was just not there from the opening tip. And I was like, well, I guess they know what Deion said. The team's not very good this year, and they didn't come to see the SMU nor the Cougars. There's a good turnout by the Cougar alums and fans. That was good, but I was disappointed in the overall Mustang crowd.
You could hear the Houston Cougars crowd. They started a who's house chants multiple times throughout the game, and even towards the end when the Cougars started shooting late game free throws, they kind of started their own chants to kind of rally the Cougars when SMU had cut it to within 12, which, like you said, Chris, it is a bit shocking, especially when you look at years in the past, which they've had some good crowds to get up for Houston, and like you said, it's a potential number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, a perennial number 1 team overall in the Associated Press polls and coaches polls. And yeah, there were a lot of empty seats at the Moody Coliseum.
Yeah, like Chris said, I think they know where the team is at right now, and I don't think they had any expectation that they were going to win that game, so they didn't stay home. And they're Dallas fans, me being from Dallas, SMU and Dallas fans is kind of similar to Houston fans, honestly. They're not really going to support you when you aren't winning or you aren't good. And so I wasn't really surprised, but, man, SMU, they're struggling. In years past, they were a really good team, like from Larry Brown to the coach last year who just retired, and they had players like Kendrick Davis and Felton and other players who are playing professionally, but now they're just bad, man. Just honestly, they're just bad, man. So I mean, it's no surprise to me if Houston doesn't move up, because you beat a SMU team, then Memphis is a team who isn't as respectable now, based on the season they're having. They're kind of like the most respectable team that Houston has left on their schedule, based on the quote unquote critics, whoever they think they are. But man, SMU, it was hard for me to watch that game, man. I think Houston's second team could have beat that team.
Ooh, that's strong, man. I mean, because Zurich Phelps, he played well. Their shot selection was poor. Mm-hmm. They're rebuilding. Coach Lanier is starting over from almost the bottom, but he's got a good piece there in Zurich Phelps.
He does.
So, but that'll be for SMU going forward if they're still in the American or they're in another conference going down the line. But Marcus Sasser, 3 points in the first half, 3 assists. He got hot in the second half. Jamal Shedd, the first half, got an assist in the second half. So for 30 minutes, 35 minutes or so, balanced Cougar basketball. Last few minutes, wasn't as crisp, wasn't as sharp. Could have got bored. Could have been like SMU, like Deion. SMU is not good. They're not going to beat us. So let's take the foot off the pedal, which Coach Sampson will not like. Okay? He's going to harp on them. He harped on them a lot down the stretch in the last 2 minutes. But he got the team finished. But that's overall 15-point win on the road. Take it and keep moving.
Yeah, I think watching that game, I was thinking about Jamal. It reminded me of a mobile quarterback. He's like, quarterbacks traditionally pass the ball. But when you have that extra element of running, to me, Jamal is like that because not only is he an elite passer, but he can shoot. And he has a great ability of identifying what the team needs. So when it's time for him to score, whether it's penetrating, getting inside, and scoring any way, he does that. When it's time to just kind of take that step back and facilitate, he does that. And so, I mean, I was just always impressed with his basketball IQ and how he keeps his fingerprint on the pulse of the team and knowing what to do in times and what the team needs. So I again, I was very impressed with him. Marcus, of course, I was expecting Marcus to have the game that he had last collegiate game in Dallas, his hometown, home city. I'm sure he had a lot of family and friends there. So, I mean, no really surprises for me watching that game, but I was impressed with Jamal and Marcus. And Tremont, he was attacking the glass today. I mean, he was really, really attacking the basketball in the glass today. I think everybody really had a good game. Kind of goes back into me and Andy's conversation we had on our last podcast.